My guest in studio, he is the Deputy Majority Chief Whip in Parliament, the 8th Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. He's also the Member of Parliament for Tolong in the Northern Region. Idris Habib is his name. Good morning.
Good morning.
Should I say Assalam?
Assalamu alaikum.
Right. Lawyer Kwame Jantua is the head of the CPP's Political Affairs Committee. He's also a private legal practitioner and he works within the energy sector. Council, good morning.
Johnny, good morning. How are you?
I am greater than Accra.
Good.
Okay. And then lawyer Nelson Roxon Eche Dafiamafo. He is a member of parliament for the North Tongue, South Dine, sorry,
Right.
South Dine constituency in the Volta region. He's a private legal practitioner as well as a member of the serial committees in parliament. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
How are you doing?
Tired.
I know
Tired. But,
if you abandon your brother, you'll be tired.
oh,
Yeah.
you want us to go into this matter?
I've finished saying what I have to say. I have the platform. Good morning, gentlemen. Let me begin this with you. Why did ex-President Mahama decide to speak yesterday?
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to my leader, my brother, Honorable Habib, and of course, Senior Jantua.
Morning.
My senior at the bar.
Right.
And a very pleasant morning to my people in South Dine, Peki, Kpali, Kwevetongo. Now, it's become customary for political parties in a lot of parliamentary democracies where political parties desire to also go into government and so offer alternative policies. It's become politically customary for the leadership of those political parties to offer alternative policies to government policies that aren't working. In a lot of the democracies, you actually have office holders within those political parties in charge of the various sectors. So you could have a minority spokesperson on energy.
That's right.
Or a minority spokesperson on communication. A minority spokesperson on governance, on constitutional law, all those things. Now, former President Mahama has been a president before.
Right.
He's now he's been our flag bearer. He's gearing up to be elected again.
Right.
And so he's prepared to lead the party to form the next government, win the election and form the next government. And that being so, it behoves on him and the NDC as a party to offer cogent, more achievable, more implementable alternative policies to government. That is not all. We are also reasonable enough to offer government solutions to the problem that bedevil it. So it is in this context that the former president, soon to be a candidate, a flag bearer, decided to speak on the affairs of state.
Right.
And now, let the record reflect that this is not the first time.
Okay.
He has spoken earlier this year during the e-levy difficulties. Right. And also last year, he spoke. And also before the 2020 elections, he spoke even before the election. So anytime the opportunity offers itself, he speaks. And he also does other speaking events globally. Recently, he was in a lot of places in Africa, participating in seminars, speaking on topical matters that affect Africa, the world, as well as our country. And it was refreshing listening to him yesterday.
Why was it refreshing for you?
He offered solutions. You just read.
Couldn't he have offered these solutions backdoor?
He's been offering these solutions all the time.
Backdoor?
Yes.
And it's not been taken?
Yes, but if you offer the solution and it's not taken, it's not implemented, it means it's not taken. And mind you, as an ex-president, he's a big stakeholder in the governance matters in this country. So oftentimes he's consulted. And as a member of parliament, I know that discussions are often held at the highest levels. His views, he gives his views on matters, given how we should proceed. If they are ignored, even in parliament, you've listened to us, you've listened to my leader, you've listened to my ranking on finance, offer solutions. They are often ignored. We were told this year that e-levy will be a panacea to everything. Here we are. We can't even get the target that we set for e-levy. And so when we shouted that we won't go to IMF, today we are before IMF with a bowl in hand. So we offered the solution that e-levy may not be the panacea. We should have gone to IMF as far back as February. President Mahama offered it. The ranking member on finance, the Honorable Dr. Atuforsen, said so. My own brother Adongo, in all his lectures, he offered the solution. He said we should have been before IMF even last year, because he knew the figures. He forecasted it, and he knew that from studies conducted in Tanzania, Uganda, and Malawi, e-levy, when you introduce e-levy, people will sell from the transactional process. They didn't take it. We showed them the figures. So it's important that as a people, because you see, this is a bitter pill. Everybody is swallowing it. It's no longer a matter for a section of Ghanaians. Everybody is feeling it, even government officials. So it is not accidental history that you have members of parliament of the government calling for the dismissal of the man who is in charge of our finances.
And John Mahama said it yesterday, that Ken Ofori-Atta must go.
Yes.
He seems to be singing your same tune.
No,
except to say that the majority who said that,
you are wrong. You are wrong. We have rather been calling for his sack a long time ago. John Mahama said it sometime in March. And this headline asked by the vice president offering solutions. How do you offer solutions to yourself when you are the one in charge? He's the head of the economic management team. So when I'm in charge of a steering wheel of a vehicle, and the vehicle is in ditch, and I'm shouting that I should be able to drive the vehicle properly, meanwhile I'm the one in charge, it's as if you are. I don't want to use that.
And that's why you're asking for his head as well.
Yes.
Because the majority side we're asking for the head of
in fact,
I
am asking for the head of the governor of the Bank of Ghana, the finance minister, and the minister in charge of finance, minister of state in charge of finance.
Charles Edubwan.
Yes. As for their two deputies, they are pretty young, so I'll spare them.
But you think these three must go?
These three must go.
Why?
We cannot leave the governor of the central bank in this matter. He must go. 50% of the problems we have comes from him. He hasn't handled our financial sector properly at all.
You think so?
You don't collapse 7 banks and 450 financial institutions and think that your economy will do well.
He called it the cleanup.
At what cost? How do you spend over 25 billion Ghana cedis to deal with an investment portfolio of a sector that is estimated to be about 9 billion? How do you do that? How do you evaluate an investment portfolio to be about 9 billion and you use public funds in excess of ×2 or nearly ×3 to deal with it? Up to now, Men's Gold, they haven't been paid. A lot of customers haven't been paid. And yet we said we've spent over 25 billion. I've been asking, what are the incidents of that expenditure? What did we spend 25 billion Ghana cedis on? What was the nature of the cleanup? Because the cleanup, it's like a cliche. It's a colloquialism. I clean up something.
Because there were people.
There was
who
debt.
Yes.
No,
there was,
if
there
you
was debt
clean up,
one.
there was debt.
Right.
The debt was estimated to be 9 billion. I spent 25 billion in cleaning it up. Meanwhile, we still have debt to clean. So what was the nature, what was the kind of detergent that we used in cleaning up that mess? What was the nature of the expenditure? Who were the consultants? How much did we pay them?
Then you say the Bank of Ghana governor must answer
The
these
governor
questions.
must answer these questions.
Okay. Let me go to Habib. Habib, John Mahama spoke, and so what?
Good morning, and good morning to my senior colleague, and then my senior, Mr. Jan Twali. And good morning to my constituents, Tolong, Daswa, and then the people of Northern Region. In fact, yesterday, I literally wasted my time listening to the ex-president, a member of the NDC. And I listened throughout his speech, and I couldn't actually understand. In fact, it was very empty in facts. It was a lamentation of his own mistakes, a rehash of what we already know. And at the end of the day, there is nothing that he has said yesterday that he has never said. There's nothing new yesterday that ex-President Mahama said in his statement that he has never said.
Are you suggesting that the government will take nothing from what he said?
I am saying that even he himself, like my colleague have said, this is not the first time ex-President Mahama have spoken about the economy and other things. Yesterday, there was nothing new that he hasn't said before. And yesterday, it was empty in terms of facts. It was empty in terms of data, and it was a lamentation of his own mistakes. Okay, I was president before, I couldn't do this, like this. Everything, I have gone through the statement after even watching him live. I have a copy I went through just to be able to understand exactly where he wants to lead us to in terms of the fiscal policy or trying to consolidate for us to be able to do better in the economy. The president will be speaking on
And so I'm asking,
on
so the government will take nothing from what John Mahama said yesterday?
Left to me alone, if it is left to me alone, whatever he has said yesterday, he has said it before.
Right.
Whatever he said yesterday was inadequate in terms of facts, inadequate in terms of data, inadequate in terms of solutions and the way forward and what we ought to do. You see, if you were speaking, it is different because you have never been in charge.
Right.
But ex-President Mahama speaking, he was in charge before. And we are well aware in the country exactly when he was in charge, what actually was going on in the country. In his speech, at a point, he said, Ken Ofori-Atta should go and so many other things. And my colleague also rehashed the fact that the finance minister should go, the Minister of State should go, and the Governor of the Bank of Ghana should go. My brother, for the first time in the history of our democracy, that a majority parliamentary group have been able to make a press conference, have been able to make their voice and make it clear to the president that they want the finance minister.
But you rescinded that decision.
No, I'm
It's not
coming.
the first time.
No.
No.
You see, we were bold.
It's not the first
The NDC,
I'll come to you.
the NDC wants Setepe gone at that time.
They
But
told-
none.
they told you?
No, I'm coming. But none of the NDC members of parliament were bold enough to say that Setepe should go because he led them to IMF. He led them to this doomsday that we were having, that the energy sector couldn't. Public sector recruitment was frozen and everything when he was in charge as a finance minister. But none of their MPs could speak up. You get the point. So you see, we have admitted that times are hard and times are difficult. And for that matter, we also try to help the president or try to see that, okay, maybe this might be the problem. In February 2014, there was a walkout in Parliament, 25th February, to be precise. It's in the Hansard, when Martin Oduro was presiding. And the reason was what? Minority saying that Setpeka should go. At the end of the day, there was chaos in the House that the minority, that was us in 2014, had to walk out in the House. But none of the majority then, that is NDC, were bold enough to be able to come out and speak say
Are
that.
you asking for an applause?
No, what I'm trying to say is that, you see, applause here means what? It is we, the majority group, have been able to identify that this is the problem. We were bold enough to speak against our own finance minister.
And subsequently, your leader wrote a statement to say
the
that
leader didn't write.
we have postponed our decision.
The leader didn't write the statement. It was the majority caucus decision.
But it was signed by him.
Yeah, so when you say our leader, it is not his decision.
Okay.
It's the caucus.
All of you.
It's our decision.
So
it's a
you
caucus.
speak through him.
No, I'm coming. It's our caucus decision. You see, I'm still going into the substance of the issue, attributing the fact that if you were the one speaking, it would make sense to Ghanaians. John Mahama have been president before.
But you have not answered my question.
Which one?
My question is that you were bold enough
Yes.
to come and say you don't want Ken Ofori-Atta there anymore.
Yes.
President subsequently comes to meet you, and then you come and write a statement signed by Honorable Sechi Mensah-Bosu, leader of your side, to say that you have agreed with the president to let Mr. Ofori-Atta stay on till December. Then what's the effect of your boldness?
Okay, so what actually happened, even though that is not the main thing we are discussing now, but for a piece of information I can relate. The fact was that the majority group were unhappy about the work and whatever Ken Ofori-Atta was doing at the moment.
Right.
And then we expressed our view through a press conference. Subsequently, we requested to meet the president. We met the president and we told him that the caucus decision is that we don't want the finance minister and the Minister of State responsible for finance at the Honorable Charles Edibuahim. The president listened to us, and after listening to us, he told us that, yes, I have listened to your grievances and other things, and I have taken your concerns on board, but I have an appeal and a request to make. What about, we are already deep neck in the negotiation of the IMF, and we are expecting budget in not less than 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because we are expecting the budget somewhere on the 15th. Today is 28th. Or so we are in 2 weeks, less than 3 weeks time, the budget will be coming. So why not the same person who is leading the negotiation? Because we are hopeful that the negotiation will be incorporated in the 2023 budget, and for that matter, we should be able to go. So the majority group did not give the president a direct response. We told him that we will retire and discuss it at a caucus and consult the old lady and get back to him. So we went back to Parliament as majority caucus vis-a-vis our stand, and then the request and the appeal the president made with regards to whatever is going on in our economy, the negotiation, the budget, appropriation, and other things. Then we came to say that, okay, now we are saying that this is the case, and this is the other alternative the president brought. We saw sense in the request and the plea the president had made that, oh, the man is already deep neck, almost, and the budget is just coming in in less than 3 weeks' time. So why not we give him the benefit of the doubt? So the majority group had a caucus meeting to discuss and deliberate on the plea of the president. At the end of the day, we agree that we have agreed to the request and the plea of the president. So we went back to him and reported back to him that, okay, this is the decision of the caucus. I was in that meeting. So this is the decision of the caucus, and the caucus will issue a statement to that effect, because we did our press conference, and if there is otherwise, and if you look at the diction and the exact wording of the statement that is issued by the majority caucus, we did not hide anything. We told the Ghanaian public that, yes, this is what we said. Yes, we had an engagement with the president. This is the request of the president. We have agreed to the request of the president. And the finance minister at the moment have the blessing of the entire majority caucus to continue with the negotiation with the IMF, to come and read the budget 2023 economic policy statement of the president of the Republic of Ghana, and also to move the motion on the appropriation.
So
that we have
Mr.
agreed.
Ofori-Atta will not be implementing the budget and will not be implementing whatever program is agreed with the IMF, but he's the one supposed to be presenting them and negotiating them. So whoever takes over for him will be implementing. I'm struggling to understand.
I don't know what you might be.
Habib is in the negotiations now, but in December Habib will go, and then Dafia Makpa will come and take over, and Dafia Makpa will have to implement
Amen to that.
Habib, what Habib has agreed to.
Governance is a continuous process.
It is indeed.
It's a continuous process. So what we are saying is that at the moment, we, the majority group, caucus, have given our support now to the finance minister to continue with the negotiation, come and read the budget and move the motion for the appropriation. When we cross that hurdle, because that was a discussion we had, then we'll be able to know. The power to hire and fire lies in the hands of the
you told
the
me
president.
that the last time, but
So for that matter, when we get to that bridge, we'll be able to.
But Habib, you do know that the creation of a budget and negotiations with IMF is not done by one person. So,
I know there's
to create the impression that without Ken Ofori-Atta, touch would perish the thought. If he dies today, we'll find a replacement.
He's not dead, he's still alive.
Yeah, but to create the impression that, oh, he's already in it, he's neck deep, let's keep him there, suggests to us that it looks as it is a Ken on behalf of Ghana to the IMF conversation?
You see, let me maybe try to bring some kind of narrative and we'll be able to appreciate the fact. It is, you see, it's like football. You bring in a player, the player still have the energy, he can score, he's doing the whole thing. Right. Then the player is getting so tight and you need certain results, then you'll be able to say that, okay, let's substitute the player. That is the case that we are in at the moment. Ken Ofori-Atta, the minister responsible for finance, inherited an IMF-driven economy. He inherited an economy with Dumso. He inherited an economy with public sector employment frozen, business collapsing. But he was able to get out of IMF. I'm telling you, and he was able to get us out of IMF. He was able to implement the government flagship program, free HSS, and a lot of other flagship programs. But we got to a point that, look, it's a critical moment. Times are hard. Things are difficult. We are not getting any new solution from you. Mr. President, let him step aside. That is where we are. So it does not mean that he is not, we make that call based on the current happening that we are having. Assuming today the IMF program is able to enroll in, we read the budget, all what I am complaining, my constituents are complaining, you are complaining about what is happening in the economy, and all that is solved. Who will make that cry again? In 2017 up to 2020, nobody made that cry, not even Ghanaians, because we saw exactly what was going on.
A very simple question. Parliament delayed its reconvening. I don't know why. Nobody has explained, really. But Parliament is in session now.
Yes.
To consider the budget, to vet deputy minister and minister for gender, and to do other businesses, right? At the time you convened the press conference, which was just about the first or second day in Parliament.
First day.
Did you not know that the budget was coming? Did you not know that we were in IMF negotiations? The majority members who did that press conference. We
were very much aware, and in fact, this sitting is exactly a budget sitting.
So what are you talking about that the president is now saying yada yada yada, and you are telling me that you saw reason with the president?
That's why I'm saying that we made the call, and it is our decision to have made the call that time, and it is our decision to actually appeal to the request.
Did you go back to your constituents?
You are not part of
Hold on, please. Did you go back to
which group that was I not part of?
Did you?
It is a caucus decision, and I'm a member of the majority caucus.
Did you?
It was a caucus decision.
Sorry, did you go back to your constituents? Because the basis of your press conference was that you had spoken to your constituents and they had given you the indication that they don't want Ken Ofori-Atta, which is why you made those statements. Did you go back to your constituents to ask them?
I think what I said
have met the president. The president said we should.
I think what I said was different from what you are saying. I never said my constituents said.
I'm listening to Mr. Apia Kubi, who made
okay,
the press
yes.
conference.
So what I do say was that times are hard. Our constituencies were telling us that things are difficult. Myself can see, you can see. The Fiamma always complain every day, even during this time he was complaining. Up to today, that things are he's still complaining every day that things are not going on well. And as a result, we took that decision. And you see, the decision that we have taken and subsequently our statement is very clear. And I don't think there's an ambiguity in it that this was the reason why we're doing. Now we have agreed to the request of the president that the man should do the negotiation and read the budget. Let that finish, and the motion for appropriation finish, and we'll be able to see what we can do.
Mr. Ofori-Atta is not there, the budget is read anyway. IMF negotiations will stall.
I think the time that he was unwell, the majority leader read the budget
so what will we lose?
So, but that's what we are saying now is that he is net dick in the negotiation. He's not the only person doing the negotiation. He is our current finance minister. He has to present the budget, incorporate what actually is on vis-a-vis.
He will not be implementing.
We don't have listen.
A budget he will not be implementing.
Listen, we don't have time at the moment.
I say a budget he will not be implementing.
I cannot say that because I know where you are dragging me to. I don't have the power to hire or fire. So I cannot answer your question was saying that he will implement the budget because I didn't hire him. And I cannot fire him. I can only express my sentiments. It means
that you are not serious about your call for him to resign.
No, I'm saying that I cannot. You see, the call to resign is in two folds. We can call on the president to make him resign. It is left with the president who have hired him.
Are you going to
let him do that?
Call on him to resign after December?
Our colleagues.
Are you going to call on the president for him to sack him after December?
There are two actions in Parliament. Now, our call subsequent meeting the president and saying it to his face that this is the issue, and he also making the request. And the other thing is that there is a motion of censure that our colleagues managed to find its way into the order paper with, you know, some dangerous allegations and call for allegations and other things. That motion too is still going on. So the most important thing is that the majority group, the finance minister, have our support and blessing now to go ahead with the negotiation and also deliver the budget and the appropriation. When we see that, as we have spoken out, we will definitely not be. We didn't consult anybody or do any radio discussion before coming out to say the press conference and also meeting the president. And after subsequently issuing the statement, we still let the Ghanaian public know that
things that you saw,
if there are problems, there will be problems.
Which is why you called for Mr. Foriata's heads, have not changed.
And I am telling you that we have even done better. When Setebe was in charge, and have done worse things than that. NDC people, and that's the better we are doing. MPP is a very democratic party. It is not an autocratic or a form of a partial democratic
are disappointed in you, the majority side, for holding a press conference, giving them hope, and then coming back to receive
I don't think that our constituents will be disappointed in us. I don't think so. I strongly disagree. And if they are, they should be able to understand that for us to even man up, to speak against our own government, to speak against our own finance minister, is a bold decision that no political party, like I said, we have been here from the Fourth Republic. Senior is here. Maybe he can help us with some institutional memory. 92. When we started the parliament in 93 up to today, there has never been any majority group that has come to speak against their
Let me bring in Lawyer Janto, but quickly.
But you haven't actually...
The president will speak.
You didn't...
You said
the president will speak. But you haven't actually...
What is he going to say?
You haven't actually...
Giving you too much time.
No, but you have given me too much time to talk about parliamentary procedure, but you haven't given me the opportunity to actually talk about the statement that the ex-president and a member of the NDC. Yes, but definitely I should be able to digest and the hypocrisy in the statement that he has made. Because there are a lot of factual inaccuracies, there are a lot of misleadings in his statement, and there are a lot of a rehash of his own mistakes. But definitely I should be able to digest it, because when we come to parliamentary proceedings, we'll be able to talk. Okay,
Habib, you have said all of that before.
No
but
problem.
I'm asking, what is the president going to say, which he hasn't said before?
Wait until he speaks. John Mahama finished speaking before I was able to tell you that there's nothing he said that he hasn't said before. Let's wait until the president.
Do you think the president is speaking because John Mahama has spoken? Your majority side in parliament have openly contested Ken Ofori-Atta being in office.
This is a president who has always kept in touch with the Ghanaian people. Even this, he not only speaking in public. The president is a president. Me, sometimes I pity him. He moves a lot. This year alone, I think he has already moved to about 11 regions, engaging. Not just the public speaking. When he meet them, he tells them what is going on in the country. The hardship, he has admitted it. The times are difficult, he has admitted it. But trust me, when he is speaking on Sunday, it is something that is going to be...
Do you think the president has taken responsibility beyond admission? Responsibility, there's a difference.
He's the president of the Republic. Whatever we are in, whether he take the responsibility or not, definitely he's responsible. Because that's why we gave him. That's the mandate we gave him.
Council, good morning.
Good morning.
John Mahama spoke. You heard Habib and H.A. Habib says they have done very well by speaking openly against your own government. I don't know what's on your mind. Has this happened before, by the way? You help us.
In terms of?
In terms of members of parliament speaking up against their own government publicly.
There have been snippets of individual groups in the past speaking, but not to the level of press conferences, from what if I can remember. But Johnny,
yes, sir.
1 + 1 is what?
2.
When the MPP came into power in 2016, they were riding on the wave, weren't they? They never, ever thought that they would take us into IMF. John Mahama took us into IMF. President Akufo-Addo was taking us into IMF. This is not the time to play politics. You've got to stop that. it is not the time to play politics. When we come on platforms like this, where we are today, we should stop that politics. Let's go down to the issues. What is it that was in President Mahama's statement that we can pick?
Have you said
What
it's
it
empty?
is, what is it that would be in the president's statement that would convince us? Let's stop the politics. It's not helping us. Look, the Minister of Finance, he has failed, yes, but I think the government too has failed. Ask me why I say that.
You tell me.
Is there not a cabinet?
There is.
Do the cabinet not meet? Do the cabinet not talk about the issues of the country? Do the cabinet not know what the finance minister is doing? The finance minister, when he sits in cabinet, does he not bring out all the economic issues, the financial issues of the country? Is the governor of the Bank of Ghana, can they not invite him to the cabinet? Maybe he even goes to cabinet, I don't know. But would they not invite him to cabinet where issues are dire? And so, if we are pointing a finger at Oforiatta, we are pointing a finger at the government. They have failed. Look, there are certain things that they could have handled.
Like what?
Cedi depreciation, inflation, 3 things. Dollarization of our economy. When they came in 2016, this should have been the target. Because what did they say when they were coming in? Muhammad did X, Muhammad did do Y, Muhammad did this, Muhammad did that. And they should have taken that and worked on it. Imports.
Or taxation to production.
They should have looked at some of the things that can bring our economy down going forward. Did they?
Taxation to production. The government has
Has it happened? Has it happened? 1D, 1F. Fantastic program.
Idea, yeah.
Fantastic program. But where should it have started from? When the MPP came into power 2017, was there no capital flight? Let's say capital flight even wasn't in government hands, but importation. Was there no capital flight? So some of those things where we were spending huge monies on should have been the first 1D, 1F factories. How much do we spend on sugar importation? How much do we spend on rice importation? How much do we spend on jute bags importation? How much do we spend on cooking oil importation? Those are the areas we should have looked at first. For the first 4 years, get those factories going, then it minimizes the capital flight of our dollars out there. Did we do it? Where were we looking at? And the president tells us that we cannot, at the present moment, give the finance minister time to go through IMF and go through the budget. Is that not double standards? Is the president not showing us double standards? One, Domlevo. Did the people call for Domlevo's head?
No.
Did Parliament call for Domlevo's head? No. Did members of the MPP have a press conference and call for Domlevo's head? Was Domlevo doing his work? Was Domlevo showing the people of Ghana that he was tackling corruption? And the people of Ghana behind him, what happened? The president said, oh no, he's doing his good work, he should stay. Did they not sack him? 2, Ejako.
Energy minister.
Energy minister. The problems that he had, were the people of Ghana calling for his head? Was Parliament calling for his head? Was the MPP calling for his head? When the president even sacked him, the president even didn't meet him. It was the chief of staff who told him. Why didn't the president defend him? And when you look at where Ghana is today with our finances, and everybody, including the people who voted you into power, are saying, do away with the finance minister, you're coming to tell us what? That we should give him time.
Until December.
Why?
So that he can finish the budget and the IMF.
You said it. Is he going to implement it? So the new finance minister who comes in, if he does not agree to some of the things in the budget, how does he implement it? How does he implement it? Now let me ask a question.
Yes, sir.
The investor confidence. Do they, the investors, international investors, do they have confidence in Ofori-Atta? IMF, do they have confidence in Ofori-Atta? When Ofori-Atta spat in their face and said, we are not going to the IMF today or tomorrow. We are a proud people. Are you not sitting in front of them?
Joshua and Caleb.
Are you not sitting in front of them? And you think they would open up and bring you in? They will pull us to the last degree.
But he's not there alone.
So far as he's leading, they'll pull us to the last degree. And you see, although they are saying, yes, we want to help Ghana, they will take us through the process. And as I keep saying, they work on data. And if the data doesn't match up in their eyes, you might have the first line of approval, but it's the board that's important.
You've been one of the persons who have called for the president to speak to us. Finally, he's going to speak to us. You should be happy about it, shouldn't you?
Should I be happy?
Yes, you should be.
Really?
Yes.
He should have spoken to us ages ago. Johnny, you should have spoken to us ages ago. The moment this crisis started, Ghanaians, we don't feel the president. I keep saying this thing. We don't feel the president. We don't feel the president as a leader. We don't feel it. The moment it started, the way he was talking to us during COVID, he should have adopted that. Because we know he can do it. Have we heard? And then you go travel the country, you go to radio station. You go to radio station. When the people who voted you are in the constituencies, why don't you talk to the people? Why don't you talk to the people? Why don't you sit with the people and tell them?
But the people listen to the radio stations.
Do they phone in? Can they question the president? Look, in this country, we tend to glorify that seat as if, he's an untouchable. What did the British do? What did the British do to Boris Johnson?
Let's trust and all.
His own people, his own ministers started resigning one by one. And what happened to him? He had to go. He had to go. And you see, for me, even if the president's utterances brought some comfort to the people, he might say, okay, let's take it like that and let's see what we can do. But does his utterances bring comfort to the people?
It doesn't.
Does it? Does it? When you go to a radio station and they ask you a question and you say, I don't care whether you vote for, and I'm paraphrasing, whether you vote for that party or not, these things don't bother me. Are you being respectful to the people? The people who put you there. Are you being respectful to them? You see, President Akufo-Addo is attracting all this kind of commentary, which he shouldn't. He shouldn't. He can really dampen the opposition by speaking to the people directly.
But now John Mahama has spoken first, so your guess is as good as mine. He may be responding to some of the things he has said.
John Mahama,
that may take the
let
shine
me tell you
out
something.
of it.
John Mahama has said what he said. And yesterday, I listened to the entire statement.
Was it empty to you
He
as
said
well?
some good things in there. He said some good things in there.
For example?
In terms of some of the solutions that he gave. However, John Mahama, should come and make sure he clears himself with the people.
How do you mean?
What do you mean, how do I mean? The things that happened whilst he was president. Why the people took him off the seat. He should come. We did X, we did Y, we didn't do this right, we did what. Let the people, if he wants to come back, let the people build confidence in him again. Let the people build confidence in, because in as much as he said what he said, that confidence issue is a problem.
Easier said than
And
done.
they need, well, they should find a way. You see, the challenge we have is that we are bereft of good leadership in this country today as we sit here. We are bereft of good leadership. And for me, I've thought and I've listened and I've looked and I've said to myself, maybe it's time for a national government.
Well, the president says we are
Maybe.
lucky to have him.
What
You
does
heard
he
that
mean?
before.
Oh, please. Don't go down that route, Johnny. It's not the president who put himself there. And if he says we are lucky to have him, he's spitting in the face of Ghanaians because it's Ghanaians who put him in power. He didn't go there on his own. And you see, the challenge I have, and the sadness in me is the fact that President Akufo-Addo, and I keep saying it, is one man left in this country who transcends my father's generation, coup generation, and today. One man. You look through the kind of leadership we have. One man, not even my own Asante Hene transcends that. He's one man. And if he's that one man, he's the one man who should unite this country. We are not united. Even on the discussions we are having on this table, look, he didn't say right. Oh, he didn't say, is that what we are looking for? When petrol is, what, 17 cedis?
17, yeah.
When people can't afford 3 square meals, when we are faced with a destruction of our land, is this a time to play politics? This is the time to have everybody around the table. How do we handle
But you
this
just play
problem?
the politics yourself.
What politics?
do you
It's
think-
the
you-
kind of politics I'm talking
You
about.
just play
you think-
politics.
oh,
Everything
kind
you
of
say is
politics?
Like,
politics.
Doctor, do you
talking
think
about.
that the president will live up to your expectations on Sunday?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what he's coming to say because he hasn't given me snippets of what he's coming to say. Nor has he given the country snippets of what he's coming to say. Because he's kept silent for so long. Yes, he's been around the country, and when anything of issue comes up, he supports it. Didn't he support what do you call it, Kenoforiata on the radio station and said he was excellent? Is he the one who is supposed to tell whether his misses are excellent or not? It's the people. And if he doesn't listen to what the people are saying, it will prove difficult for the MPP. They should take, look, my own party, where we are today, majority of the problems come from us. The NDC, how they got out of power came from them. You should watch it because their actions will prove where they will end up. And you shouldn't take it for granted.
Our actions have brought us to the point where we take a break. On
very
return,
butter.
we will come back, Lawyer Kwame Jantua, H.A. Dafiamapo, and also Habib Idrisu will be my guests in studio. Stay with us, we'll be right back. This TV3Newday. Welcome back, and thank you very much indeed for your time. And my guest in studio, Habib Idris. He is the Member of Parliament for Tolon in the Northern Region. He's also the Deputy Majority Chief Whip in Parliament, State Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Lawyer Kwame Jantua is a private legal practitioner, is the head of CPP's Political Affairs Committee. He's also an ardent person within the energy sector, and H.A. Nelson Dapiamapo. Oh,
Yes.
I got it right.
Yeah, that's a difficult name to
Dapiamapo,
pronounce.
okay. Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's okay. I don't want to say anything.
Yes.
You wanted a rebuttal.
Yet.
Just before
Yes,
I
sir.
can
Yes,
I
sir.
conclude?
Yes, sir.
You asked me what do I expect the president to say.
Yes.
I thought about it. I think he should give us alternatives other than the IMF.
Why do you say that?
Look, it's not 100% sure that we'll get this money from the IMF. So what are the alternatives? We have to restructure our debt. That has a lot of implications. And if you're not ready to restructure, what other alternatives do we have? Okay, let's even say that we get the IMF money. Is that the answer to, is that the panacea to our problems? What other alternatives are there? Because you see, Johnny, we shouldn't look at only immediate. What we're doing now should look into the medium and the long term so that we don't go down that trajectory again. So I expect him It's his last term. Use this this statement you are going to make, or this press conference you are going to have, to lay down a foundation for the future.
Do you think the president has the right people around him to get this done?
He is the president. He is the president. If he feels he doesn't have the right people, he should crack the whip and get the right people to do it. I keep saying, there are crack economists in this country. Crack. You're not using them. Look, PURC had their 25th anniversary. The guest speaker was Kwampianim.
Right.
His presentation he gave, he told us exactly where the economy was today.
He says the IMF negotiations are not going right. They are not going well. He said it.
He knows what he's talking about. And that is why I'm saying.
We've gone for consultants.
That is why I'm saying that what is the alternative other than the IMF? Let's see what those alternatives are. Let's start debating it here. Let's take some of the things John Mahama said. Let's take some of the things the president will say on the alternatives, if he's going to talk about alternatives, and let's start debating it here. IMF will do its own.
Okay. Eche.
Yet, I was sad when my leader Habib, said GM statement was empty.
Right.
You see, sometimes it's my friend, so I won't go hard on him. But I'll say this. When programs are organized, it's important that we take our time and analyze the presentations.
Right.
GM didn't only present his speech. The Honorable Atufosi presented the facts and figures. So the program was in 2 sessions, 2 folds. Now, what the Honorable Atufosi did was to present the facts and the figures gleaned from the NPP's own budget documents. He didn't concoct any figures. Is this saying that we don't owe contractors over 70 billion? Is this saying that we don't owe NHIs? All the statutory funds in this country are in arrears? It's my leader saying that, and that fact and the figures they put out is wrong. What President John Mahama did was to give policy alternatives.
Which he said he has been saying over and over again.
No, you see, but he's been saying it. They be viewing him as an opposition person. They were not listening to his message. What is he saying? He says that he should reduce the public debt. He's been saying this for years. Is that not an option that we have now, that we should reduce our public debt? That is a credible alternative open to us. And as part of doing that, he said we should stop borrowing, we should stop going for the non-concessionary loans.
Yes,
that is an alternative open to us. And that we should rather negotiate with our bilateral partners so that they give us the concessional funding. That is the alternative open to us. That is what John Mahama said yesterday. He again said that the Bank of Ghana should be discouraged from financing government projects beyond the statutory 5% threshold. Is that not an alternative open to us? Why should Bank of Ghana be financing government beyond the 5% statutory limitation? Why? And when he suggested, then you say he said nothing.
But like I said, these are not new things.
Hold on.
I'll give you a chance to also venture.
He again says that government should be discouraged from collateralizing our statutory funds, like Get Fund. And you are saying that he said nothing. Meanwhile, that is what you've done.
He has ever said it before.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That when the man said these things in the past, you saw him as an opposition spokesperson.
Even at his Harvard lecture, he said this.
Exactly.
So
where we are now,
he has said nothing new yesterday.
So why? No,
you said waste of our time. He wasted our time to glue to our TVs to watch him of something he has said in Harvard, something he has said in Accra.
We know you guys leader in parliament, but here I'm the speaker.
In the state of affairs, in the state of affairs that we find ourselves, you think we should encourage government to collateralize our statutory funds like Get Fund? You think we should do that?
But it's been done already. So.
No, that is why John Mahama said it should be reversed. We shouldn't encourage that in this year's budget.
But it will have consequences because you used it to borrow money already.
Yes, but it should be discouraged. We should renegotiate that. Because you see, if you free those funds, periodically, the tax revenues from which you are supposed to pay into these accounts will be coming in. You will not find yourself in terms of liquidity strictures that we do now.
But whose idea was it?
Ask them. The person's idea it is, they are asking him to go. Again, John Mahama says that certain state institutions, very, very important state institutions like Cocoa Board and GMPC, should be discouraged from spending heavily on their non-core functions. Today, instead of Cocoa Board encouraging the Ministry of Roads to cut roads into cocoa farmlands and tell them, Cocoa Board will go and take a loan and say that they are constructing cocoa roads. They will sink money into road construction. They'll go and borrow. They'll go and take syndicated loan that is supposed to be used to purchasing beans and processing and selling. They'll go and sink the money into road construction, project that they will not complete. Meanwhile, the syndicated loans have annual cycle. Every year you have to pay and you have to repay so that at the end of the year you can go for more. So if you go take $1.3 billion and you go and sink into cocoa roads, and yet you are not able to complete those projects, you are not spending on your core mandate. When GMPC is all over the place constructing AstroTurf, spending GMPC serious money, and spending on sports infrastructure. I'm not saying they should re-engage in
the developing youth.
I agree. But assist the Ministry of Sports to do that. But they will not. When they come to Parliament, the Ministry of Sports is not even aware how many they are constructing. You have to ask a question for the Ministry of Sports to come and give you details.
It means the ministry is not being proactive.
No. It's not that,
with all these things.
It's not that they are not being proactive. There is no coordination. How does the NPC do these things? How do you go and buy an office building? So many millions of dollars now.
Especially when GMPC was given 10 years to be an operator.
Thank you.
What happened?
You go and spend money and you are buying new office buildings. I'm not saying they shouldn't operate from offices, but you don't spend millions of dollars to go and put it in concrete.
Like sponsoring festivals to us.
Thank you. Then John Mahama again says that we should cut costs.
You also loan to government.
Thank you. We should cut costs. We should reduce the size and spend wisely. What did he say? What he meant is that spend on infrastructure like UGMC so that it can bring revenue. Spend on infrastructure like Terminal 3 so that it can bring you revenue. Don't go and spend on National Cathedral.
The president would disagree with you. He calls it a priority.
Thank you, of priorities. But John Mahama is saying, given the situation that you find yourself, don't go and tell Parliament that you want to build a new conference center when the conference center constructed by Jerry Rawlings is serving the purpose. That is what he's saying. So spend wisely. And he said he hasn't said anything. Again, he says we have too many secretariats and agencies that have been recently created. Start with CEO with 3 deputy CEOs. Executive secretaries with like 4 deputy executive secretaries and personal assistants. So he says, look, school feeding secretariat. What is the meaning of that? A whole government has introduced a new policy within education. We have GES. Don't we have existing departments just to foresee this policy?
But it didn't start today. I mean, if the days of the late Amakuto IV
Yes.
and President
Yes.
Kufuor, it transcended
Yes.
President Mills, President Mahama,
Yes.
President Kufuor.
Yes.
Why is he talking about it now?
No, but it says that given the conditions that some of those structures, he also mentioned that the free SHS secretariat, things like that,
They should go.
they should just be a department of the existing structure. Go and see their expenditures. Go and see how much we spend on some of these secretariats. The Ministry of Trade has 3 deputy ministers. Some ministries has none. They have none.
But I thought we said we're not going to do deputy ministers in this round of the government.
But he's done them. So John Mahama says be reasonable and reduce the size of government. Some institutions have 4 CEOs, deputy chief executive officers, 4.
Which organization is this?
Office of Government Machinery. GM says in 2016, when he was leaving
Oh, I
office,
thought you were going to give me the...
I'll give them to you. He said when he was leaving office, the annual budget for Office of the President was around 700 million. Today, it's in excess of 3.1 billion. What have we done? We moved agencies like the Scholarship Secretariat, National Identification Authority, all under the Office of the President. So today, when there is an issue with the National Identification Authority, you want to ask questions in Parliament, you are struggling how to bring a Minister of State to come and answer.
Because they are not responsible.
Thank you.
To anybody.
How do you bring the Chief of Staff to Parliament to come and answer?
Doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
But shouldn't we do that?
We ought to do that as part of changing our governance
Everybody's
structure.
liable. So far as you have
Yeah,
a
but-
government
but-
office, you're liable.
per the present dispensation, you can't bring a chief of staff to
You
Parliament.
understand?
You can only bring a sector minister
yes,
to answer.
so these are
I'm
the
saying we
issues.
should change it.
So many,
That's what I'm
NADMO is
saying.
under Office of the President.
But they're supposed to be under an interior ministry.
Thank you. So if there are issues with disbursement of relief items or there are emergencies and you want to bring the person to Parliament to address the issues, you run into a brick wall. And yet, so much money is subvented to these agencies every year. That's what John Mahama is saying.
Okay.
Then
Finally,
he
wrap
says,
up for me.
then he
Habib
says
can
that
come in.
we must be able to, as a people, streamline expenditure. We must streamline expenditure because you see, between June and January, January and June this year, we needed about 43 billion to pay for interest payments and salaries and wages. We got only 30 billion. So we got to go and borrow to pay wages.
Our salaries have not been paid as of now, right?
Yes. Oh, but the moon no die. So we need to be able
But
to.
there was a list from the accountant, accountant general that showed us when salaries will be paid.
Yes.
Some 26,
Yes,
some 25,
I agree
some
with you.
24.
I agree with you.
So don't
So-
tell me moon no die.
So you see, so the point GM has made is that we should be able to do some of these things to rationalize. and
Does he
improve
think that the
system.
government will listen?
But the government has to listen.
Why?
No, where we are, the government must now listen. The government must be compelled to listen
By who?
by you and I. Indeed, he has also said that he thinks that it is time we go back to Operation Feed Yourself. It fits into the one district planting for food and for jobs. So my question is, we've expended nearly $1 billion on this project since 2018.
So he said nothing.
What do you mean by that? He
How,
said,
but how have you supported the government to implement planting for food and jobs, one district, one factory, one village, one dam, for
as
example?
MPs, we were encouraged to identify agro crops and agro processes
What
that
did
will
you
do
find at your
well.
place?
Mine will be cassava.
Have they come to do cassava farming?
Well, you know, when they started, they you see, they changed the focus of the policy from a mainly state-sponsored to a PPP. As soon as they got into government, they changed and said that we were going to do a PPP implementation. So they were inviting business proposals from private people. Some persons from my constituency wrote and applied. But they got back to me and said after 2 interviews, they were simply ignored. They've been following up, but nothing has happened.
Okay.
You know, so
let me bring
for
in,
anybody to say that GM said nothing, it's simply to say is to play politics and not to admit the fact that the man has actually given you policy alternatives and giving you options that if when you implement, there will be some comfort, some breather for
Habib, after this exposition, do you still stand by
Yes,
your
I
initial
stand,
point that
yes.
John Mahama said nothing?
Yes, like I said, I wanted to even expatiate and substantiate on my statement that the statement former President Mahama made was empty in data, empty in facts, factual inaccuracies, and nothing new. There are things that he has actually said before, and they were even double standard in some of the things that he has actually said. Yes, so for example, I went in to go through the statement, one thing me and him will relate was President Mahama in his address saying that MPs are going to construct offices in our constituencies, and for that matter, at this moment, it is something that we are not needing. For instance, he is in Parliament, I'm into leadership in Parliament, and we do understand what that is going on. If Parliament uses its budget or make a budget proposition to the finance minister that Parliament, we want to use part of our allocation to construct offices in the MP's constituencies, that you said it is government that is going to do. It is a just suggestion by MPs and Parliament to make sure that MPs have offices. Because you see, we are talking about decentralization of governance. And this is not something that is happening. It has been in the banner. There's a discussion on that. But there's something that no budget allocation and nothing, money have been given. So this is factually inaccurate. This is factually inaccurate. I'm going into his statement. And if you come and look at paragraph 7, the last part of the paragraph, he said that it is almost robotic faction. Government and its headlining reside in reunion that we are at this previous juncture only because of COVID-19 and Russian-Ukraine conflict.
That's been your excuse, right?
No, that is what he said. But you see,
that is what you have been saying.
Yes,
he says that this is what you have been telling us.
Yes,
COVID, Russia, Ukraine.
Good. He said that yesterday, on the 23rd of April, 2022. At Harvard Business School, John Mahama said, the same former President Mahama said, like governance all over the world, it became necessary for African government to take action to shield the population from the effects of the pandemic. This meant, in many cases, an increase in deficits due to unbudgeted expenditure. This has devastated many African economies and sunk them deeper into unsustainable debt and economic downfall. On COVID, again, the same President Mahama said, data from the Economic Commission on Africa, EIC, shows that COVID-19 created the continent's worst recession in 50 years and real GDP sinking by an average of 3% by 2020. That's what he said. And yesterday, he was also telling us that we are actually making it a headline. You are already contradicting yourself. That is the first thing.
How is he doing that?
Because he's saying that it is not the issue. He is saying that it is not the reason. Even on Voice of Africa, I listened to him. When they asked him why he went to IMF and why we went to IMF, we said we are at IMF because of COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war, which has affected almost all the economy. Why did he go to NDC go to IMF? It was because of what? Reckless expenditure, mismanagement of the economy, inability to sustain our debt and be able to control the micro and macro economic
debt now?
Majority of the debt is created by you people.
You wrote to IMF. You wrote to IMF 3 weeks ago and said you were going there because of policy credibility.
Look, you see,
the same thing you said against your preamble.
In the preamble, there are some of the debts. Yes, we do agree. When when Professor Mills took over in 2009 January, the debt he inherited when they were exiting in 2016 was not the same debt they left or reduced the debt. That's number one. Because governance is a continual process, there are some debts that the NDC had left that we inherited. Sometimes you see some project before you start to say, then they will say, okay, President Akufo-Addo had gone to commission this project. Oh, but the loan was secured by John Mahama. If it was secured by John Mahama and nothing was done, was not a debt.
Our
the
total
government.
debt stock 122
No, I'm coming. I'm coming. So you see, I want to get into. I want to get into this.
122 billion.
Honorable,
What
can I
people are saying is
just
that between
digest this statement?
122 billion.
Can you just let me able
500
to
billion
do
and what have
about
you
the
done?
statement to
AJ,
justify
once
the
you
fact
digest
that
So Habib, I
The
want
man
that-
has been sitting
Habib,
here for 2
hold
hours.
on.
He hasn't
Oh,
digested it.
Master, you
Habib,
see,
Habib,
so
how long is the program?
you see, how long
Habib,
did we start the program?
Habib,
I said 2 hours. The same
Habib,
John Mahama
Habib,
statement.
Habib, you see, so let's get this straight. COVID, Russia, Ukraine.
Yes.
They have taken the fall for our present situation.
Not only Ghana.
Okay. But I'm saying that in that particular case, that's what.
But can you help me in the economy
I'm coming.
from
I'm coming.
2021? That is sound. That is good. Nothing
that-
happened.
that-
Cote d'Ivoire is sound.
COVID, Ukraine war. Recently, the Prime Minister just resigned.
We are paying Burkina
Prime Minister just resigned at that time.
Gentlemen, can I ask my
It's not
question?
want to-
And a lot of things
Gentlemen,
is
can I
going
ask my
on in
question?
there.
Habib, Russia, Ukraine, COVID, that's what government has been telling us. What portion of the blame the government want to take, aside giving opposition Russia, Ukraine, COVID? So far, the government has not admitted that, look, this portion, if it's 100%, 20% is Russia, 20% is Ukraine, 20% is, opposition. This 40% is our doing and our failing. Government has not done that.
Yes, I do agree with you that I don't have the data in terms of segmenting.
But it's blamable.
Definitely, I said, I think 2 days ago in your show,
Right.
that Russia-Ukraine war, COVID-19, and other internal factors led to where we are at the moment. I don't discount
Right.
that. But you see, I was just looking at his statement. At a point, he also made the statement that we are talking about we being better managers of the economy and other things. And you see, media, I know sometimes we can try to play certain agendas and other things, but the fact is that we inherited an economy in 2017 January when Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was sworn in. What was the life of the economy? The economy was in intensive care.
It was
and the
not.
livestock was-
Economy
Yeah.
projected
I'm
to
coming,
grow
I'm coming.
8.5
Let's allow the man
No, but you don't allow
Leader,
things
leader,
like
you're
this.
contradicting yourself.
No,
Let's allow
I
him.
want.
Go
I
ahead,
am
You
go
said,
ahead.
you said government is a continuum. And if government is
So-
a
so
continuum,
that is
whatever
what I'm
you
trying to
whatever
make
you
a
came
point.
to meet, you move with it.
So
Perpetual
the
succession.
point
So
is
don't
that
even go
so
there.
the point is that with crisis we've gone to IMF. With that crisis they were at IMF.
Who told you that we didn't have crisis?
What crisis did you have?
Oh, I see.
What
I thought you said you came into you inherited Dumso. Dumso is not a crisis.
I thought
Look,
that you
Johnny,
would have allowed him
Johnny,
to
I have
finish.
allowed him, Johnny.
You have not allowed
I
him.
have allowed him.
You have not allowed
Johnny,
him.
I have allowed
AJ,
him.
you spoke, but allow
Johnny,
him.
he's been speaking.
I beg you. Allow
I
him.
was quiet.
Allow
when
him.
you
I was
were
also
speaking
quiet.
See,
because of the
Habib,
respect I have for you.
The letter that the
Respect
first
me
letter
as your friend.
The first
That's
letter,
my leader.
As your
the-
friend.
The first letter that went to the IMF spoke about balance of payment support and two other factors,
Policy,
right?
policy credibility.
Credibility and all of that. That the president had made a call to the IMF. So that in itself is the reason you're going to IMF. In that letter, COVID-19, Russia-Ukraine war
Didn't feature.
was not mentioned. So what are you talking about?
What I'm trying to tell you is that, so are you also of the view that the COVID and Russia-Ukraine war didn't hit our economy?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
So
that the
what's your
letter
point?
you wrote as a government,
But you see,
as a sequel to the call the president made to the
He is
IMF.
aware, just like in Parliament, there are certain things that you will write, but there are underlying factors that you discuss around the table that everybody is already aware of the whole thing that is going on. So you see, my whole assertion is that, yes, President Mahama was President of the Republic. He came to give us a statement, and I was actually of the view that the statement was going to come out to give us policy alternative that can be able to get us out of where we are at the moment. But at the end of the day, it is the same politics. Senior Jantua doesn't want us to talk about that. Where we are, we don't have to talk about politics. But there's something that we cannot discount.
But are you able to get us out of this hole?
Oh no, we have done it before. When they took us to IMF, who got us out of the IMF?
But you have taken us back.
Yes, so we did it. For the fact that we are able to take to get you out of an IMF, we have no single idea.
You even extended
it to 2019.
Yes, you even extended it.
Listen. But at the end of the day, we got you out of the IMF.
You extended it.
Listen,
And you took us back.
And 2 years
can you
later,
allow me to make my point? Anytime I want to,
He's your leader.
anytime I want to talk,
Leader, go ahead.
you will be
Leader, go
able
ahead.
to.
Leader, go ahead.
At least respect me as your friend. You know.
Leader,
The most important thing is that when we inherited an economy, which was an IMF-driven economy, that time we have no single idea about the extent of damage that was being done. And like John Mahama said, Ghanaians, we have short memory. But we were able to get you out of the IMF. We didn't even take you there. So when we take you to IMF now on ourselves, you should be rest assured that it is something that we can be able to get you out.
But then if you took us out, it means that you had what it took not to take us back. Now we are back. You even had a Kenke Wache party to celebrate taking us out of the IMF program after extended it.
It was an exciting moment. And like I said, the macroeconomic indicators, stability, fiscal policy of the government, budgetary and everything was going on very well. 2019
because
was
you're
a
in an
positive
IMF program.
No.
Because you're in an IMF program.
No.
You couldn't
we
go
inherited
outside
the same
You couldn't.
IMF program,
couldn't
which
go
was
outside
actually
it.
very
You
difficult
had to
for us.
stay in
At the
it.
moment, even with the difficulty that
Look
we
what
are having,
happened when
we
you
still
came
have
out.
our lights on. Even with the difficulties that we are
When did the IMF program end, the first one?
The first one supposed to end in 2018, but there was an extension
To
early 2019.
Okay, and then in 2020, everything started going
don't say
back.
there was an extension. Say we extended it.
An extension. There was an extension.
You mean
There was an
spoke
extension.
detachedly. You sound
The
detachedly.
who?
You see, the most important thing is that there's one thing you should understand. When you are in a panel discussion like this with your leader, keep quiet. I can give information you don't know. You understand? You have to actually be able to listen.
Leader,
there could be
leader,
a lot
proceed.
of information that you might be able to.
Leader, proceed.
You know,
Be able to learn
go
from.
into my wisdom.
Do you know that if you get out of this IMF program, if IMF grants you a program and you get out of it, you will not be able to hold a Kenke party because the Kenke at the time was 1 cedi, now it's 3 cedis.
No,
You can't hold the Kenke party anymore.
My brother, you
Yes,
see,
sir.
the most important thing is that when you travel, you come to. I'm not me. I will never say that things are good because I am a father. You know, I have a constituency I look up to and other things. So when I look at my expenditure and certain things I do, I come to appreciate the fact that this is what is going on. But when you also travel, senior, you'll be able to appreciate the fact that we are still doing good. We are still doing better in Ghana. Some things are expensive and times are difficult. But for the fact that for you to even, at least even once, our lights stay on, it doesn't go off. It is something that we should be able. Fuel prices are expensive. And you see, when we presented the budget, just this budget that we are looking at, do you know how much the finance minister quoted for the price of crude oil per barrel? It was, in terms of the budget estimate, it was 64. But when COVID hit hard, a barrel, crude oil per barrel, moved up to $120.
We made a windfall.
The windfall. And it went and it came back to 100.
Mike,
and I
give
don't
me a
mind, it's
little
still
time, man.
going
Lawyer
on.
Janto, I'll have to speak. Habib, let me ask you this. The president and everybody else on the side of government says, let's come together. In fact, Ken Ofori-Atta says, let's bedding share. President has repeated same. So that is an extension of an olive branch to all of us to come to the center. Then John Mahama speaks. And all you hear from government communicators is, oh, there was nothing in what he said. How do you build meaningful consensus with that kind of attitude?
We have always built consensus, and my senior colleague,
No, I'm asking in relation to this.
No, you see,
particular one.
burden sharing. Government have actually, even in Parliament, our budget has been cut. We are sharing the burden. Government appointees' salary have been cut down by 30%.
That's not what I'm asking.
That's bed. It's still the burden
That's
that we
not
are
what I'm
sharing
asking. I'm
because of
saying that You are asking for everybody to come to
There's
the
no
table
evidence of
Yeah.
that.
so that
There's
we
no
can
evidence.
so that we
Ideas,
can we can
everything.
all share ideas and get out of this hole
Yes.
together as a country.
Yes.
Then
I understand
the
your
leader of the
question.
largest opposition party speaks, and so far since yesterday, all I've heard from party communicators is, oh, discard it, oh, discard it.
Me,
how
like-
do you build consensus?
I
like
have
that?
said that. I have listened to former President Mahama on 3 different occasions. I listened to him throughout in his Harvard Business School lecture. I listened to him on the Voice of Africa interview. And I listened to him when he gave the lecture in Accra here. And there is nothing new from what he said yesterday. So we are not saying that what he said yesterday was nothing of substance, but there are something that he has been saying. So yesterday was an empty, there was nothing new, because he has said everything that he has said repeatedly, he has been saying it, except the fact that yesterday he only contradicted himself more and lamented about things that he has been able. He was talking about businesses are collapsing, people are losing their savings and other things. In his time, it was worse. That is why the banking sector cleanup exercise was being
worse?
done. Yes, it was worse. It
Okay.
was worse.
I see.
Why did we have to clean up the banking sector?
I hear you.
Because people were even going to lose
hear
their
you.
savings.
Habib, thank you. Well, if I have not lost my savings and I still have not gotten my money, what's the essence of saving my money for me? My money has to be in my pocket. Like, Jantua, you have the closing thoughts.
When the haircut hits us, that is when you see that Ghanaians will rise up.
Is it Topio Joe Backbush?
Whatever it is, when government now is not able to pay the interest on bonds and treasury bills, and they have to take a certain percentage of your interest and part of your primary amount, that is where, excuse my English, the S will hit the fan and to spread over all of us. Look, let me finish.
Yes, sir.
Ukraine, COVID, did it only affect Ghana? When you compare our inflation rate to even African countries, are we not the highest? When you look at the cedi, depreciation of the cedi, and the junk status of the cedi, when you compare it to other countries, even let's say Naira, aren't we in a worse position? So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? We, the loan, our loan to GDP is what? 400 billion. How do we claw back? And I expect the president to talk about this. How we claw back? How are we going to claw back to single inflation figures? How are we going to claw back to exchange rate, single figures? How are we going to claw back petrol, single figures?
The economists say we cannot go back to
And then,
9
you say that the CD has dropped to 14 point something, so it's good. It is not good. It is not good. It is not good because people cannot afford to eat. Plenty for food and jobs you talked about. Policy. In that policy, there are good things in that policy. One of the things in that policy is that every house should have a small garden. Grow your own food. It's in there. You feed yourself that Mahama was referring to.
That's why
It's
it
in
fits
there.
in.
Who is implementing it? They brought out nice policies. Are they implementing it? That's the challenge. That's what I want the president to talk about. We have this policy, Let's try as much as possible from this day that I'm speaking. Let's try and implement. Planting for food and jobs is not only to create jobs, it's to feed the people. So everybody, if you have a pavement in your house, take the paving blocks out and start growing yams and tomatoes. That's what I want to hear him say.
Okay.
He shouldn't come and regurgitate the old stuff. He shouldn't. He should come and tell us things that are new, that the people will follow. He's one president who has had tons of goodwill from the Ghanaian public. He's frittered it away gradually. In fact, he's frittered it away to zero. He shouldn't go into negative if he's come to say something good to us.
Okay, that's Lawyer Kwame Jantua. He's a private legal practitioner. He's the head of CPP's Political Affairs Committee. He was here on the ticket of his party. Also, Honorable Habib Idrisu. He is the Deputy Majority Chief Whip of the 8th Parliament, and he's also the Member of Parliament for Tolong in the Northern Region, and Roxin Eche Nelson Dafiamapo. He's the Member of Parliament for South Dine in the Volta region. He's a private legal practitioner. and he's been here today. Now he's in a pensive mood. I don't know what he's thinking. Honorable, somebody says I should send you this one. It says he's your constituent.
Which
he's
of the honorables?
finding it difficult to eat. He's from Salomon in Tolon. And he
Salomon.
Says, yeah.
There's no community in my constituency called
Well,
Salomon.
that's what he said.
No, then he's not from my constituency.
Okay.
Hey.
He added his Momo number actually, so I wanted to.
So that means he's a public beggar.
He said he wants to eat.
Salomon, I can't
so
say
he
Salomon.
said those collateralized debts should be part of the debt restructuring,
Yes.
so that those monies would be part of our inflows. Good morning, my brother. This from Alaji Fatah. It says we are in crisis. This is not the time for arrogant and insulting posturing. This is the time for listening. A time for utmost humility and a time for honest contemplation. A time to admit and accept where we have gone wrong. A time to bring our suffering people together. A time to promote unity and seal the cracks. A time to demonstrate leadership and sacrifice. I mean, genuine sacrifice in the interest of our people and our country and our future. Good morning. It says, well, Ivory Coast's economy is doing better even in COVID. Dr. Seydou Fita said I should tell you, Habib. Seydou Fita. Seydou Fita. Well, a few days ago, I met a young man who's been doing a wonderful job in our country. Dr. Dankwa, Nana Dankwa, that's his name, of Vic Dank Healthcare. He deals with all manner of liver issues, yeah. And Dr. Dankwa, good morning to you. And also Ambassador Sampiyali, good morning. Your message is too long. I can't read it. They're counting me down. Uncle, good morning. Good morning to you. And thanks to Sonora Fashions in Tamale, 0246 590162. Get something special from them. We're going on radio, Community Connect on 3FM 92.7. We're asking if Parliament is really representing the people or their own interest. I'll read from this constitutional radio. Tune in and join us. The sports, entertainment, and more new day.